While apparently nobody was looking, this team's defense might have just taken some significant strides toward becoming, can I use the word special? Yeah? Good morning to you. Good Tuesday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, and this is Daily Shot of Steelers. It comes your way bright and early every weekday if you're into hockey and or baseball. I also offer daily shots of Penguins and Pirates in the same place that you found this. Look at it from a level perspective. When I say that, I don't mean level-headed. I mean levels of the defense. Look at the different names, or even just pick one name from each of the various levels or even positional groups and ask yourself if there's a star on that level. And you'll see why I think it's pretty reasonable to get pretty excited about what this group can be. Maybe we've all forgotten about that. Maybe we've all forgotten about the type of players who are on this defense when they're healthy. And maybe we've forgotten that it wasn't all that long ago that the defense was just getting everything done. Well, I'm going to do this, but I'm going to start in a place you might not think that I would. And I'm going to start at outside cornerback because I'm becoming increasingly convinced, particularly after some post-mortem analysis on the 2023 season and where Joey Porter Jr. ranked among not rookies, among players at his position, at his trademark strength, which is just plain old coverage. You are not going to beat me. And if you try, I'm going to beat you. Ike Taylor style. I don't know how many picks he's going to come away with. I don't know how much splash he's going to deliver, but I do know that he met every individual challenge head on. He not only embraced it, he sought it out. He would go to Mike Tomlin earlier in the week and say, give me Metcalf, meaning DK Metcalf, of course. Give me DeAndre Hopkins. And Tomlin, I don't know whether he was following along with the narrative or having his strategy influenced by this, but that's the way these matchups would go. And they would go well. In the one game where they didn't, since I mentioned Metcalf, in the one game where maybe, although there's some room for debate on this, the receiver was beating the corner consistently, Joey Jr. still got it done at the end of the game on that pass into the end zone. He was the one that got his mitts on that. He was the one that made sure that the Seahawks, wouldn't win the bleeping game. And I can vividly recall going to his stall in the locker room afterward and seeing just this big smile, looking like his old man, just eagerly waiting for people like me to come over to talk to him so that he could say, hey, they wanted to challenge me. They came at me. I won. He wasn't worried about what happened before that. He bounced back. He didn't let what happened before that get to him. This is a star in the making. Might not be all the way there, but in the making. Special, right? Cool. Safety, you've obviously got Minkah Fitzpatrick when he's healthy. There's a lot of people that consider him to be the premier safety in the NFL. Awesome. Needs to stay on the field. Also, just to throw this in here, I like what potential impact LaShawn Elliott could have on him. That's starting to feel to me like it was a pretty smooth acquisition. And I might as well finish the big triumvirate there and mention the obvious TJ Watt, Cam Hayward. I don't know what we're going to get out of Cam next year, but I know that Cam's not going to look like he did this past year, playing on basically one leg. So I've done the secondary. I'm going to kind of finish doing the front here because there's TJ, there's obviously Alex Highsmith as the bookend, but you also have Nick Herbig as the wild card in that mix. Outside linebacker is just such a strength. And I don't mean that in the Pittsburgh context. I'm talking about league wide. If Cam is Cam, and again, Cam doesn't have to be Pro Bowl level. Cam can just be the best version of Cam because on that inside, you're also going to have, I believe, a real rise in the performance, a real second-year leap for Keanu Benton. I try to pay attention to the way assistant coaches or coordinators talk about a certain player, because they're very, very reluctant to go over the top with praise for the simple reason, I believe, that, if those players don't perform to that level, who are we looking at? Yeah, them. But where Benton's concerned, man, there's no such leash. They're saying all the good things about him. And they're also acknowledging, as they should, that he faded a little bit down the stretch, playing 18 games. Not easy for a kid coming out of college to do. So, any position I'm missing here? Let me think. Oh, yeah, that one. The one that never really seems to be filled. I continue to be aglow over the signing of Patrick Queen. I feel like he'll be the perfect fit alongside, whether it's Landon Roberts or someone right in that Roberts mold, should the Steelers continue to pursue help at the position. And I think they might have to because of the uncertain status of Cole Holcomb's knee. But Queen, if he can become, and I've already seen, heard, and read a bunch of you suggesting, James Ferrier this, James Ferrier that, just because Ferrier was a big-time free agent in that period, and such a unicorn for that group to be signing. I'd love to see Queen put himself in a real driver's seat to take over this defense. And I'm not just talking about his performance. I'm talking beyond the green dot. I'm talking about making sure that everybody's in line out there. I don't want to see Minka coming up and yelling things from the back. I don't want to see, with all due respect to the three guys that got everything started last year at inside linebacker, guys running on and off the field. I want to see I don't usually like to use military parallels, but I want to see somebody just become a field general out there. I want to see somebody say, hey, this is my defense. I'm responsible for this. The way Ryan Shazier did. The way Lawrence Timmons once did. The way Ferrier did. You want that presence in the middle, that big presence, meaning big in performance, but also big in persona. Let this become a Patrick Queen defense. Don't get me started on this stuff. I'll start thinking football season opens tomorrow or something. When we come back, J1Q.
This segment of Daily Shot is brought to you by our good friends at Mike's Beer Bar. They're located on Federal Street, directly across from PNC Park. Mike has more than 500 beers on tap, including from more than 50 local breweries. Stop in and say hello. Tell Mike we sent you. Mike's Beer Bar. Exciting news from Live Casino Pittsburgh's Poker Room. Join them this month for the Westmoreland 300 Multi-Flight Poker Tournament, March 7th through the 10th, with a $25,000 guaranteed prize pool, plus accrue hours every day until March 23rd and come for an $8,000 cash drawing on March 24th, beginning at noon until 8 p.m. Also, during March, all 2-5 or higher Texas Hold'em players will receive a $40 food comp after playing for 1 hour. Any new players who mention DK Sports, that's us, at the poker podium upon your first visit to the poker room will receive a food comp after playing for 2 hours. More action, more winnings, only at Live Casino Pittsburgh's Poker Room. Follow Live Pittsburgh's Poker Room on X at Live Poker WML for promotion and tournament news.
Today's J1Q comes from Paul in Churchill. He says, DK, I realize that Omar Khan has the additional $50 million to spend between the cap increase and not paying a quarterback. And with how many moves the Steelers have already made, along with Arthur Smith, a real coordinator being brought in, and Art Rooney saying that this has to stop, we have to win in the playoffs, it feels to me as though there's a power shift away from Mike Tomlin. Is this a warranted feeling? And Paul, I'm going to press pause
before I get to your response, because you just mentioning Omar's name reminded me a lot of the feedback that I got to yesterday's show. Everybody just lighten up a little bit. It's been a few days with a ton of news and a lot of intense emotion, and I was right and I was wrong, or you were wrong, and I liked this guy and didn't like that guy, and why aren't you praising this person so and so enough, and everything else. Some of it aimed at me, some of it all over the place. Just seriously, chill, people. Long way to go here before anything gets started. My only point about Omar yesterday wasn't that he hasn't had a terrific offseason to date. He absolutely has. It was that anointing him as being some sort of, God level GM who's a zillion times better than Kevin Colbert ever was, or does things so much differently. He's not really doing that much differently. But that also doesn't mean that he hasn't had a grade A offseason. I believe that he has. All right. Are we clear on that much? All right, good. Now, so your question as to whether or not Tomlin is being stripped of his power or the power has balanced itself in a different direction, I've actually gotten that in a lot of different forms from a lot of different people over the past week. So I don't know if this is something that's being discussed at some sort of, Steelers bar or whatever, or if this really is something that a lot of people have on their minds at the moment. Fine. Either way. My one word and emphatic answer to this is no. In fact, let me try it again to make it an even longer word. No. That might be wishful thinking on the part of some because it'll sound like, the eventual end of the Tomlin era is at hand. No, this has not happened. Rooney has made similar pronouncements in the past, and he actually acted on some of those in the past. Omar getting rid of Kenny, which I know has been conflated into a house cleaning or whatever. It's one player. Deontay Johnson being gotten rid of by Omar has also been kind of thrown into that category. Things that Omar would do that his predecessor wouldn't do. I'm here to tell you in 100% confidence that neither of those moves gets made without the full-hearted, not just blessing, but most likely urging of the head coach. The head coach was the one who said years ago to Le'Veon Bell, we want volunteers, not hostages. The head coach was the one who got Bell out of there. Head coach was the one who got LeGarrette Blount out of there. Head coach was the one who got Melvin Ingram out of there. This is not a new thing. This is not something that Omar concocted or Rooney concocted or whatever. These are Mike Tomlin things that became Mike Tomlin acts in the past week. I have absolutely no doubt about that. In fact, they're arguably the most obvious Mike Tomlin acts to date in this offseason. Now, it's the general manager who has to go and execute the deals. It's the general manager who has to go and find the willing trade partners, figure out how things will work. From that standpoint, go back and forth, understand that there's going to be time restrictions. And that's where you give your ups to Omar. That's where you say, wow, okay. So he went and he got a Super Bowl champion / 9-time Pro Bowl quarterback in Russell Wilson. He got him for literal minimum wage. And then, maybe more impressively, I think goes against the clock in going to the Bears and saying, listen, we'll take Justin Fields, but we can't overpay here because you've got this 5th-year option in the mix and whatever else. What can we do here? Before somebody else gets to him, before, I don't know, the Vikings or somebody that still needs a quarterback gets to him. And Fields is a player who still has value. This is an extraordinary athlete. Arguably the best running quarterback in the NFL, at least looking at Lamar Jackson where he is at his stage of his career. But again, everybody just take a deep breath over some of this stuff. It's not that serious. It's not, you're not saying this and this about this guy, or you're not saying that about that guy. You sound like you're down, or you sound like we're just talking football here, and we're doing it every single day. Some days are going to be yippee-yay. Some days are going to be, what's this all about? But that's all. We're just talking football every day. And you know what? We're going to do it again tomorrow as well. Thanks for the question, and thanks for listening to Daily Shot of Steelers.